Hi, my name is Matt Daniel. I'm the chairman of the Spirit of VMI Political Action Committee, and today is the 7th of August. It's about 6 p.m. in the evening. We're about, I don't know, 30 days or so before early voting starts in Virginia, and we are really proud and pleased to be sitting and talking across the Zoom sphere, talking with Lee Peters, Captain Lee Peters, who is running for the 65th, not congressional, but delegate district in Virginia. And we'll talk to him in a little bit. We got 4 or 5 questions we want to ask him, and then we'll talk about the next steps after that. The Spirit of VMI is so for anybody who's watching this the first time, basically we established ourselves in 2020 to prepare ourselves for a 2020 run. We've developed the PAC, the Political Action Committee, to ensure a platform exists to elevate VMI in the minds of elected officials and/or candidates that are running, with respect to values and the value proposition that VMI brings. And we do this and have done this across the branches of the elected officials in Virginia. So the House of Delegates, the Senate, and the governor's staff, or the executive branch as well. And we try to stay in front of them to best represent the values of integrity, patriotism, and the citizen soldier ethos as well. So in saying that, I am going to ask Lee Peters to talk to us about a little bit about the District 65, the 65th district in Virginia. So welcome, Lee. Thank you very much for joining us. Just came on, by the way, Lee, sorry, just came on, by the way. We also have Clint Hubbard, who's the vice chairman of the Spirit of VMI. Clint fell off for a second there, but he's back with us. Clint, say hi.
Hi, Lee. Nice to meet you. Sorry about that. Just went blank on me.
Oh,
all right.
No problem. Hey, thank you, gentlemen, for having me, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you all. It's an honor to have an organization such as VMI and those who support such a prestigious, military institution to reach out and want to have a conversation. So I deeply appreciate the honor and the privilege of having a conversation and, getting to know a little more about you all, and you all trying to, get to know a little bit about me. It's an absolute honor. I've told people before, I know a lot of VMI grads, and they are some amazing people and great leaders. So, it really is a privilege to be on this platform and to be able to share some ideas with you all. So thank you very much for that.
You betcha, Lee. I appreciate you joining us, and you'll join several other key races or candidates for key races that we are supporting to help hold the House of Delegates and try to flip the Senate so that we have some sanity in Richmond to work with Governor Youngkin's agenda. And I'm sure after talking with you earlier, and maybe after we discuss this today, that there's some commonalities and some alignment with your agenda and what the governor is pushing. Can you tell me kind of the 4 corners of what the 65th district describes?
So the 65th is brand new. As we know, last year they went through and redistricted. So the districts everybody was comfortable with and knew about went away, and now the 65th was born out of some redistricting. So we cover, the 65th covers southern Stafford County from about mid-center, Eskimo Hill Road down, all the way up to King George, and then out to, I just give landmarks, about the Walmart on 17. We take up the entire city of Fredericksburg, and then the Salem voting districts of Spotsylvania. Basically, it's a Route 3 corridor, a very small sliver of Spotsylvania. So we've kind of taken this territory. They've made the 65th, and we're kind of excited because it is a good representation of this area, and a lot of different people, a lot of mix of folks. So it's going to be exciting to represent this particular district.
It sounds like, and I think it aligns. It's smaller, I guess, but it aligns a lot with the Senate district that Tara Durant is running in, right? Is that right?
Yeah, so the House district is within her Senate district. So,
Right, sure.
I mean, I've been trying to, learn these new districts, and it's hard enough to figure out what the 65th is. And then, what Senate district lines up where, and, you're going, federal districts, state districts. But yeah, her district will take a lot of, almost all, I think, of the 65th House district. So when she wins, it'll be a very good, Senate representation, as well as hopefully if I win, a House.
When you win, you win, you're right. Hey, but behind you is a heck of a tribute to your experience as if I get this correct, as a U.S. Marine. So Semper Fi, myself as well. So I'll say it to myself, but as a U.S. Marine, and then as a career law enforcement officer as well. Do you want to say anything about that wall behind you?
Well, this, my wall here basically reminds me of, everything that the U.S. military law enforcement represents. It's pride, it's honor, it's, that brotherhood, that sisterhood, of when you meet somebody, you exchange challenge coins, you share stories, you provide some honor to the person who served as well. And in the center is, I did the Law Enforcement United ride, the bicycle ride from Chesapeake to DC one year, and it has the officer that I rode for and honoring, that person. So this is just, I wanted to make sure this was behind me, because it's really an honor to have met so many of these people, from, commandants down, from chiefs, from my agency, just, coins, recognition coins. It's really just an honor to stand, in front of so many military members that I've met, so many law enforcement professionals I've met, and just be able to stand here and reminisce and see them, and just remember, the sacrifices people have made, and just the journey that I've been on. So that's my wall of honor, and it's a tribute to everybody who's put a uniform on, whether it's military, law enforcement, firefighters, EMS, anybody who has served the community, the public, the country is represented behind me.
Well, you don't see that every day, man. That's very, very impressive. And thank you for walking us through what that is. I mean, there's not enough of that in the national space, and certainly not in the Virginia political space. So thank you for running, and thank you for standing for what you stand for. Can you tell me why you decided to run?
Well, law enforcement for the last 20 years has been, had a special place in my heart. And I always say that, but I don't want people to think that, I'm going to Richmond to try and, make tougher laws or do things to promote law enforcement. I believe in representation. I want everybody in the 65th to feel like they have somebody who will represent whatever idea that they have, whatever issues on their mind. And we can go forward and just bring some logic back. Issues that, really change the way law enforcement, was looked at, the way law enforcement was treated, the laws that came out to, promote the offender over the victims of crime. And, when I had the opportunity to put my hat in the ring and say, you know what, I'm tired of being quiet. I'm tired of, trying to tell people what the answers were. And, they say, hey, well, if you've got answers, you can run. So, it's kind of, put up or shut up at that point. So it's really a privilege to be able to, fight this fight. And I met with the governor before I even, jumped in here, and just some of his values, the way that he was seeing Virginia, some of the logical ideas that he had, and just his investment in schools, his investment in mental health, his investment in law enforcement, him saying, we need to invest in these things, and I need people that will help me get this to the finish line. I felt, why not? Because, again, it's my military mind comes back, and, when the boss, the old man, the leader, whoever you want to call him, says, I need people to help me push my agenda, and you believe in that agenda, each choice but to say yes and try and, help us get back to common sense, get back to logic, support law enforcement, support teachers, support mental health, and just be a conduit for the people of the 65th to get their ideas and dreams and goals, to Richmond, and help Virginia just take back some common sense rules and laws. So that's kind of the sappy version of, why I wanted to do this.
Well, I'm not sure it's sappy, but it's a good story, and it makes sense, and it checks out with most of the people we talk about and why they're running. So you've been knocking doors. I'm sure you've been out earlier today. I bet you were out, and you're probably doing as much as you. I mean, you got a day job too,
Yes.
so it must make it difficult to do that. What are you hearing? What are you hearing, and how's it going?
We are hearing a lot of support. You know, we're hearing whether or not, you know, the party affiliation is there. You know, we're hearing a lot of support because people are really trying to support public safety. And, you know, they saw what happened. You know, this is one of those races where I tell people, you know how if you vote for my opponent, you know how this movie ends. You've seen the movie before, so it's not like it's going to be a cliffhanger or you don't know the direction it's going to go. You know how this movie ends because you've seen it. So, you know, we're seeing people want to restore public safety. They want us to invest in education. They want us to invest in mental health, and really they've been very supportive of what we're trying to do. And, you know, we're not going extreme one way or the other, and we're not out there just saying, hey, you know, we want to change the world tomorrow. But they do understand, and they do like the fact that we just want to bring some common sense virtues and goals and resolutions back to Virginia, and just make it a place where everybody feels like they have a voice, they're welcome, and they'll be represented. So we're really having a lot of good responses out there. And, you know, again, I've told people, and people have said, you know, they saw what happened last time my opponent was in office. You know, they saw their city be turned into a war zone for absolutely no reason. They've seen the conflict that comes. They've seen, you know, the divisiveness, the extremeness that comes from, you know, a person with his point of view. And they just don't want that. They just want good old fashioned common sense. Let's make Virginia safe. Let's fund our priorities, and let's have a safe place to work and live.
I had been talking to a couple of different candidates about. I work in Northern Virginia in one of the military facilities there, and so I get to kind of travel up and down I-95 a lot, and I had heard that there was a candidate somewhere from Northern Virginia, and I'm not sure even which one. Maybe you can tell me more about it, or maybe tell me that it's not true, but the candidate that had lobbied for funding for I-95, but wanted to shift that funding to Hampton Roads for Hampton Roads Bridge Tunnel, or, something going along with I-64, whatever down there. One of the candidates told me that Lee Peters was hot on the I-95 and the transportation issue. Do you have anything you want to say about that?
So that was my opponent. He, voted to send millions of dollars that we needed for infrastructure here in the region to the Hampton area. And, one of the things that if you walk around, especially Stafford County, and you ask any citizen what the number one complaint is, it's not theft, it's not burglary, it's not the fear of being assaulted, it's traffic, it's transportation. And what people have to understand, and legislators have to understand, is we are this corridor from Spotsylvania, especially through Fredericksburg and then Stafford County. You have two ways up the East Coast from Maine to Miami. They both run through Stafford County and Fredericksburg, and it's I-95 and Route 1. And the amount of traffic per day that we take through this area, and the amount of help that we need, because not only are, the city and Spotsylvania and Stafford bedroom communities, that we try and keep bedroom communities where people come here to live and they work in Northern Virginia, they're traveling the roads twice a day, spending countless hours. That money should have been spent here to help with infrastructure issues, to get people from their home to work and back in a reasonable area. So we could not understand for the life of us why you would vote, especially somebody who is from this area, who grew up right up the street from where I live, why you would send money away from here knowing the problems that we have. I mean, once a week, at least, 95 is shut down or Route 1 is shut down. And this area becomes gridlock, it becomes impassable. So to take any funding away from this area that we could use to do anything to improve our infrastructure is just ridiculous. We can't understand why that happened, and why would you fight for another area of Commonwealth when your area needs so much help. So we lost millions of dollars in funding, and it didn't make this area any better. It didn't help the roadways. It didn't help people sitting in traffic for hours at a time. So that was another reason that, knowing the area like I do, knowing the problems that we have, knowing that we have to do something to help infrastructure, roads be developed, because we're still growing. There's businesses coming here, there's houses coming here, but the infrastructure is still the same. So to send money away from here with these issues, knowing that this corridor is so vitally important to not only the people, but billions of dollars in commerce every day travels through here, to say that that money should be sent somewhere else and you're from here, it's not forgivable.
Yeah, it's unforgivable. It certainly is. Hey, Lee, we're getting kind of close to the end here, and I need to make sure that I bring my partner in crime into this to ask you a VMI question, because he's going to kick me in the teeth later if we don't ask something about VMI. But honestly, we're really more interested in you getting elected, and then we'll talk to you more about VMI later on. But we do want to know if you kind of align with us a little bit. So Clint, take it away.
Sure. Lee, a very compelling story. I was struck by a number of things in our discussion we can touch on, but my part of this is to speak really to the spirit of VMI and why we're here and what we do, and in cultivating friendships within the legislative branch. And so the spirit of VMI Political Action Committee has long supported the values of integrity, leadership, patriotism, and the citizen soldier ethos that are the essence of VMI. Can we count on your support to the spirit of VMI in our quest to keep these values alive and well at the Institute?
Oh, absolutely. Like I said before, it's an honor to have an institution, such a prestigious institution, reach out and want to talk to somebody, like myself. I've known many people who've attended VMI and who are great leaders, great citizens, and really, work for a common goal of, a safe country and safe communities, and really just put, the ethos of VMI out there for everybody to see. So, it's a pleasure and an honor, again, to support an institution and the people that are supporting the institution, going forward. So I absolutely would be honored to, say yes to that question.
Thank you very much. And actually, some of your bona fides, as Matt pointed out, are on that wall behind you. So, somewhat of a loaded question, because knowing your character, we were pretty sure how you would answer that question. But thank you very much for the support. We appreciate it. We hope we've earned it, and certainly you have. So thank you.
Well, thank you.
Well, so we have one of these things. I'm see if you can actually see it. One of these things that we're going to give to you so that you can put it up on your wall. It's a poker chip. It's not a metal one. We've been too cheap to get a metal coin. So it's a poker chip, and it says VMI is good on the front. And then on the back, it's got the quote from the parapet, which is near and dear to all cadets and alumni's heart. And it just is summated, it's not even a word, a crowd of honorable youths. And it describes what the spirit of VMI is all about. So it's with really enthusiasm that I think that the spirit of VMI as a entity, as a political action committee, would like to wholeheartedly endorse you for your candidacy and for your success in winning the 65th district of the House of Delegates up there in the Fredericksburg area. I mean, really, we're gonna travel this with you and do what we can to help you out in whatever way that we can, as much as we can. And after you win, really look forward to spending some time with you in Richmond and maybe over in Lexington too, as you take a trip to see what VMI, face to face, what it's all about. I know that you have people that you work with that are VMI graduates that are very supportive of the types of things that we talk about. And we don't need to get into that right now, but I know that that's the case. And I appreciate you sharing that information with us earlier. VMI is good. And if you could say that then I think they would seal the deal and wrap it up.
Well, I think VMI is good. You know, I don't have the pleasure of being an alumni from VMI, but I see the products of VMI, and that will convince me that, you know, VMI is a great place, a great institution, and, you know, it should carry on for many, many, many hundreds of years going forward. So it's a good place.
Impressive dude, man.
Yeah, you know, the thing when he was talking about just not staying silent, you know, and it's time to get in the ring and kind of, you know, put up or shut up. It reminded me. I don't know if you've ever seen the speech of the guy. What's his name? Mark Robinson, this lieutenant governor of North Carolina. That's what it kind of struck me as, that because he was sort of a reluctant, you know, hey man, I'm just here because I'm tired of this, and that immediately came to mind with Lee, and just a very genuine guy.
But he's been surrounded by VMI people throughout his career and has been, you know, impressed by all those things, you know, integrity and honor and all the things that we kind of take for granted that really we shouldn't take for granted.